What's going on, everybody? It's Stock Picks by Tim, and the market's absolutely ripping. I wanted to get into Cleanspark. They did just report their earnings. Now, if you want to hear their earnings call, I will leave you guys a link down below. I kind of cut it up, tried to clean it up a little bit for you guys, just so you have an easier way to listen to their earnings call. But we're going to go into some numbers, how their earnings call actually went. I'm going to give you my thoughts, and I'm also going to look at the technicals and go over some recent big news that dropped on the day of the earnings, before earnings came out. We also have an increased price target by H.C. Wainwright, but before I get into this, all that I ask is you hit the like, subscribe, ring in the notification bell. You know the drill, guys, and let's get into it. Now first, just glancing at the chart, you'll see that it is absolutely ripping. It broke out of this upwards channel. Isn't it funny, because just glancing at earnings, seeing that revenue come down so much, seeing that their EPS missed, you would think it would be just selling off today, but no, that's not the case. And when you actually listen to the earnings call, oh man, guys, I think you might be as bullish as I am if you really listen to the full earnings call. But just looking at the technicals, you'll see that we broke out of a previous top here in about 20 of July. I personally think that we might not see under 5 again for Cleanspark, especially if the market gives it some support and keeps pushing as well. So hopefully you guys calling out Cleanspark coming down to 3, coming down to 4. Hopefully you people calling it out were the same people that were hopefully buying it. Otherwise, you might have missed out. Might have missed out on those prices, that is, because I do think Cleanspark, even where it's at, is extremely undervalued, although I wouldn't buy on a 20% up day like today. Just looking at the shorter term time frames, we're clearly overbought, and it's probably due to come back down a little bit, maybe test $5 and start developing a nice support there. That would be wonderful. And next up, not a big deal, but this can also give a little extra push to the stock, is H.C. Wainwright actually rose their price target from 6 to 12 on Wednesday, so the day that the earnings came out. Now, is this a precursor of more increased price targets to come? We will find out. Alright guys, now quickly going over their earnings. I will leave you guys the link down below. Looking at the revenue is 31 million, which doesn't seem all that great. Definitely doesn't seem that great. Their loss was actually 30 million nearly, and had an adjusted EBITDA of 15 million. Now, looking at their mined Bitcoin, they nearly got 1,000 Bitcoin mined and increased their hash rate by 22%. And thanks to their recent acquisition of more miners and the facility they just acquired, they're increasing their year-end guidance for hash rate all the way up to 22.4 exahash. Their 2023 year-end guidance, I don't know if I said that. Now here in quotes gives me a lot more confidence in Cleanspark if you're a little worried about it during this bear market. Now, as said by Zach Bradford, the CEO, we're optimizing uptime and maximizing profits with our wholly owned locations. We also made efficient use of our capital by putting new miner purchases to work quickly. Despite macroeconomic headwinds, our results demonstrate the resiliency of our strategy, and we expect to grow in what is otherwise a bear market. So if they were dealing with issues, if they were worried about their money, do you think that they would be acquiring more miners? No, they would probably be like the companies on the other side of these transactions that are selling Cleanspark the miners, because those companies are having problems. And one big thing that a lot of people are probably going to be kind of pissed about that might have been in this stock for a long time is that they are formally going to be selling their energy business side of things. So now they're going to be a pure play Bitcoin miner. Some people might see this as a huge negative, but personally, although this does kind of de-diversify them, so if we're in a bear market with Bitcoin, Cleanspark's going to suffer even more likely, although it's suffered plenty in my opinion, being that it's an energy play as well. So I don't think that really matters, but what I do think matters is the fact that their margin is nearly 50%. And their CFO, Gary Vitrelli, says these are great margins and why we're in the Bitcoin mining business. Furthermore, our decision to divest energy assets will allow us to focus our time, people, and resources on our core business. So that means they may even grow out quicker than expected, quicker than they have been. Now, they did post their energy side of business for sale. Now, what I find really important with the revenue, yes, while quarter over quarter they dipped, we expected that. I even told you guys about a month out, and we are going to go over really briefly the next earnings and my thoughts there. So you can be way ahead of the curve and tell people that you already called it out. But looking at the revenue, you'll see that year over year, they grew 243% from 9 million in the same period a year ago. Now, they did realize a larger net loss compared to a year ago, almost double. One thing that kind of puts the numbers out of whack is the fact that they had to classify their energy business as discontinued operations, and they had to record an impairment charge of 10 million for that. And that's just the way that accounting is and how you have to keep your records. Now, while this quarter they weren't profitable, they have had profitable quarters. One thing that really sticks out to me is the fact that they have total assets of 411 million. And you're talking about a market cap of under 200 million. Yes, this quarter they weren't profitable. However, when we do get back to the Bitcoin bull market cycle, which is inevitably coming up, Cleanspark will have profitable quarters again. And I can see why, you can have a company with higher assets than a market cap because, they're burning cash. They might not be profitable. That is the case for Cleanspark at times. And this is one of those times. So I can see why there's a little fear in this one. Up until today, when we had a 20-something% day, that is. Now, they have been building up their debt a bit. They do have 18 million in debt, and they have working capital of 9 million. Now, remember, guys, every month they do make somewhere around 10 million on their Bitcoin. It depends on where Bitcoin's at, but they continue to increase their hash rate. And I want to go into one more thing that I think is absolutely huge, and this is their recent acquisition of an active Bitcoin mining site in Washington, Georgia. So they don't have to go in, set up the infrastructure. It's already set up for them. They can literally put their machines to use right off the bat. And this was purchased for $16 million. And this is their third clean energy campus in Georgia. And this deal also covers the miners at that site, 3,400 of them actually, S19 ant miners. And that cost approximately $8 million of that deal. Now, these machines that are already operating are going to give them about 340 pH, which is right around a third of an exahash, I believe. And it plans to fill the rest of the empty space on site with the already acquired miners on hand. And they can also scale this business up to 86 megawatts. Currently, it's 36. So I think this is definitely big news for Cleanspark. If you look behind the scenes, you'll see the real reason Cleanspark's been dipping in revenue isn't because of a Cleanspark problem. It's because Bitcoin's been on a downtrend. And that is literally the sole reason. If it wasn't for Bitcoin being on a downtrend, if Bitcoin was sitting around 30,000, around 40,000, Cleanspark would be continuing to increase their revenue. They are continuing to increase their hash rate. Right now, they're right around 13 Bitcoin per day mined. And at the rate they're going, I really wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the year, they're past 15, 16 Bitcoin per day. Now, I almost forgot, guys, but I want to show you this, at least on TradingView. I'm not 100% sure if this is going to be their actual estimate, if they're going to revise this or what have you, but looking at their revenue, they're expecting 25 million for the next quarter. So there you have it. We might be treading in some deep water until we get out of it. It might be another iffy quarter. But in reality, this all definitely depends on Bitcoin's price. If Bitcoin starts pushing towards 30,000, these numbers will definitely change very quickly. That's one thing you have to consider. With Cleanspark, it's very volatile. Bitcoin's very volatile. It's definitely a high risk stock. However, I personally think this one is going to play out for me. And the proof is in the pudding. When you look at the details, what are they doing? They're acquiring more miners. They're continuing to build out their business. They're cutting their costs. They're cutting out of the energy side of the business, which in my opinion was actually dragging them down. So moving forwards, we will see a lot of changes with Cleanspark. And being that they can put 100% of their resources towards Bitcoin mining, I think it only means they're going to grow that much more. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to stick around because I will be covering Syncionics. They also reported, and we've got some big things for that one as well. So thanks so much for watching, guys. If you like this content, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the like. Appreciate each and every one of you, and take it easy.